actually attend.
Because if their meeting starts at 6, they'd want to put it on before their meeting, is what they said for the 6th.
I can suggest
perhaps-
this.
Even if it's
5:30.
5:45 or
Right.
This
whatever.
might even be at 6:30, I'm not 100% sure, so, but I may have an issue, but I'm the only one, so.
Well, look, how about we do it this way? We talk to them tonight, we ask them if it's possible to post it. I'll make sure I get back to the three of you, or actually I'll do the four of you, to let you know time, date, place. And I'm gonna ask them to post a joint meeting, meaning they're going to post for both the school committee and the Board of Selectmen on the same agenda, and then go from there as the Board of Selectmen's agenda.
Okay,
Okay?
That's good.
good, okay,
I'm good for the 6th too, by the way,
Okay.
if it devolves. to
Whichever.
that.
Okay.
If it devolves
Okay.
to that.
okay. And on to the action agenda, approval of a donation of a $410 Westport Education Foundation grant approved by the CFSEMA for One System of the Beyond question technology.
So moved.
Your second?
Second?
Any discussion on this?
Just worth mentioning that this is a good example of a member of the teaching staff coming forward, identifying tools that Westport Educational Foundation has indicated fit the spirit of their donations. So the teacher, Mrs. Ubera, I believe,
Ubiera.
Ubiera.
Yeah.
is to be commended for recognizing that this is an opportunity to engage the community spirit and moving tools ahead. So I speak in favor of that with, it is a great example of what the Educational Foundation here in Westport can do for us.
And we've seen more and more things come across our blotters here from the Education Foundation too, so, and I know there's a few others out there that have been approved that probably have yet to come through, so, again, thank you to the Education Foundation for the work that they are doing, and we look forward to approving more.
You need to do the vote.
And,
in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
I'm going to abstain.
Approval of a donation of library books and an Apple letter game from Partners Village Store and Kitchen.
And I'm sorry I didn't put it in the, into the packet. We were trying to figure out the exact amount, and the person who was in charge of that was not in, but they did finally send us the amount that it's worth, because you should include that in the motion. So I will read it and pass it to whoever wants to make the motion, just so you know. They donated about $363 worth of books in one game of Apple Letter. They'll go mostly to the high school library, and there are some books that will go to the West, the middle school, and the MAC. In total, it's 121 books. So whoever wants to make
Mr.
the
Bernard can do
motion.
that. It's close.
Actually, I'm going to abstain on that one too.
Who wants to make the motion?
Who's making the motion?
To accept the books?
I'd
Jim is abstaining.
be happy to make a motion to approve the donation of library books and Apple letter games from Partner Village Store and Kitchen for total value of $363.
Second.
Any discussion? No, I just want to say thank you very much for
Thank you.
that.
In fact, will we send a letter out thanking them
Yes.
directly?
Yes, yeah, thank you very
Because
much for
again,
that.
another example of community partnership. This goes outside of the Educational Foundation, and it's a business in the community. And as all of you know, I'm very involved with the businesses in town, and we're going to continue to seek partnerships with businesses, and this is just another great example.
We've also worked with them in the past. They do donate every year. They collect some funding
From the T-shirts,
from
right?
from the T-shirts and some of the items that they sell down there, and they do a donation every year for our literacy programs here.
Excellent.
And Dr. Cunningham always looks for that little bit of money, and before it even comes in the door, it's spent. So yeah, they have been very nice to us. So
They have been, Partners Store has been very, very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye, I can vote on that.
Abstaining?
Yeah, that's not the.
Oh, okay. And on to approval of Officer Robert Reed as Westport Community Schools Resource Officer and Attendance Officer.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, real quick, I want to thank our past resource officer, did a fine job. The only reason why he did leave us is he's been promoted to sergeant, so he's bettering his career and moving on, and did a fine job, and I'm sure we're going to be just as satisfied with the next. Do you know if he's gone to school yet and done his...
He has not yet.
Okay. Well, it's only the end of the year anyway, but I'm sure he'll do that over the summer and be
Trust me,
boots on the
we've already
ground.
put him through his paces.
September, and I haven't met him yet, but actually I did see him yesterday, so.
The school that you reference, is that specific to being a resource officer, or you just,
Yeah, there's actually a training
A
that
training
school
for
resource
SROs.
officers go to through police, the Mass Criminal Justice Training Council,
Right.
on how to be a resource officer.
Right.
my understanding is he's been an officer in town for a bit?
Yes.
And the reason why we needed to take the vote is more for the attendance officer part of his job. It's a title that is, you have to approve in order for him to act as our attendance officer. So that was more the reason why we brought it, but we are calling him the SRO even though he hasn't gone to the training because he's filling the role anyway. But it's really the attendance officer part of his role that has to be voted by the school committee.
And is that why the interim one did not come through us? Okay. Okay.
So is that a new position, or is attendance officer, they've always had,
We've always had it, but that was done even before you guys came in before. So it's the same person, you only have to do it when you switch people.
Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
right?
Opposed? And approval of revised job description for executive human resources assistant.
Okay. We've done quite a few changes to our policies. One of the changes we did this year as we were revising our policies was that when there was a creation of a new job description or there was a change of a job description, that we would bring it to the school committee for review and approval. This position has been with us for quite a while. One of the things we wanted to make sure we did is make it appropriate to what we're actually asking the person to do. I think over time, positions evolve. Different roles get thrust upon us by the state. And at this point, some of the things we're looking at is to update some of these job descriptions to better match what we expect them to do. In this case, one of the things that we're trying to concentrate on 3 areas: hiring, advertising, dealing with recruitment. Which we're trying to go more online and less to newspaper art, advertising that is very expensive. I'll give you an example. We advertise for the .8 assistant principal, .8 assistant principal at the MAC and the West, and then we advertise the .2 pieces that would go along with those .8s. And within a week, we had, I think we're over 60 applicants at this point. So right now, we're trying to figure out how to manage that. But it's one of those evolving roles. Before we did it electronically, we're doing it all paper-based. And so we wanted to make some of those changes. We wanted to make sure we included in there the management of the professional development recording, which is also part of the staff database. So, for example, when we have those staff development days and Dr. Condon has the MAC doing one thing, the middle school doing another thing, the English teachers doing one thing, math teachers doing another thing, somebody has to go and collect the information on who went, for how long, what day, and what classification of staff that would be, and what we classify that professional development as. So when the teachers decide they're ready for the recertification, we can print out a list of their, what they call professional development points, which usually is 1 hour of training is one PDP, you need 150, and they should be in bundles of 10 hours. So basically, we're trying to just update it to what it is, and we're bringing it here for your review.
A question as you were describing what we're doing seems to be a shift. I have 2 copies of one job description. Is there 2 job descriptions I should be looking at?
It was probably when I was putting them together, you might have got,
Okay, and that's fine with me.
Sorry.
It's not a criticism, I just didn't know.
I do only have one.
Extra reading for you.
No, so my question is, we have an elimination of a part of a job position. Where,
We already reduced the position. It used to be a full-time position, but it also had another part to it, which was assisting with the curriculum. We've reduced it to just the HR part. We're figuring anywhere between 0.5, 0.6 for next year. I mean, as we add these new roles and responsibilities that have a lot of technology to it, our hope is that it's a doable job within the amount of time that we're allotting to it. Hopefully I won't have to come back and say, the position's fine, the roles are fine, the expectations are fine, but the amount of time we're giving it is not enough. I'm hoping the use of the technology will help us.
actually, what my question is the parts of this position that are being removed, is there another position that's absorbing these duties as a curriculum assistant separately?
We do have a person that fills that role. Again, last year when we lost staff in the offices, we kind of had to shift who does what. So we do have a 0.5 basically clerk that helps Dr. Condon with the curriculum side, and it's only 0.5 because we don't have any more time. She also works with the elementary school and the SPED. So it's one person but trying to do a little bit of 2 jobs. The elementary SPED used to be a full-time position, so we've cut that in half. Some of the other responsibilities that went on being in the office at the elementary school have shifted to the other staff there. So everybody lost something.
So the curriculum assistant duties, we're not going to have to create a new position. Those are being shifted onto another job description?
To another person who's just a clerk.
So we may end up having to update that
We do
position.
another one.
In other words, if these duties aren't,
The interesting part is the clerk descriptions are generic enough.
so that
That as well
answers
as,
my question.
I don't think, we'll look at it, but I don't think so. I don't think we need to do that part.
Union-wise, they won't be able to come back and say, it's not my job description, we're not doing it. That
This
other
was-
point.
This
that's-
was not a union position.
But what you've transferred the duties of this one onto another person,
But that's
I
what I'm
believe
saying.
it'd be an
those
ASPE
duties-
union person.
Yeah, but those duties are generic enough that
Okay.
it's just an appointment. You're going to work with this person versus you used to work with that person.
Okay.
Or you used to work in this building versus that building. But
Okay.
the work is still the same. In this position, which is an
work
executive
has
level
changed.
position, we are changing some of the roles in terms of what the responsibilities and what the expectations are of this role. In particular around keeping track of absences and who's in, who's out, keeping track of the electronically, which we hadn't done before. Again, we're in the process of doing some interviewing to see who would be available for this position. And people are looking at us and going, you're asking a lot. And it is going to be